I'm Jill. It's my honor to introduce our professional trainer to you, Josh Miles. He's not only a wonderful teacher, but a great co-worker as well. He majors in drama and theater, but is also an experienced member of Toastmasters International. And where's Mike? Oh, he didn't know that. He knew it today.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope and I believe all of you will learn lots of practical speech skills from Josh today. Let's welcome him. All right, thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, some of you know me and teach with me. Some of you I don't know well, but I've seen your face passing by you in the hallway. I hope today I can give you some practical tips on preparing students for a speech contest. And I hope that we can exchange ideas. Don't think I have all the answers, I don't. I have experience and I want to share my experience with you, but you all also have great experience and something in your experience might help us. So later we'll have a sharing session of tips and aspects of speech training that we can share and help each other. So without further ado, I don't want you to be a good student today. I want you to participate and there will be interaction. So first of all, you don't need to raise your hand. I want you to, just as a warm-up, a mental warm-up, just yell out your favorite color.
Pink!
Great. Okay. And I don't know all your names. Can you shout your name as loud as you can? Thank you. Okay. What do you love to eat? What do you hate to eat? Okay, so another question. I'm quite curious. In the Chinese zodiac, I'm a rooster. My Chinese zodiac animal is a rooster. What's yours? I want to know. Cool. Thank you. One of the things when we prepare students, as you know, they're pretty shy. Not all of them are as enthusiastic as we would like them to be. Not all of them are as expressive we'd like them to be. So we're going to do a physical warm-up that you can also do with your kids that will help them with gestures and body language. Now the concept of this is called lazy eights, like that. It's based on writing exercise. When kids learn to write and coordinate themselves, there's something called the midline, and then when they cross the midline, it helps them to coordinate and find balance. The midline is the middle line of your body, and it helps really well with gestures. If we're going to do a lazy eight with our thumb. And we're going to start at the top left corner of your own, like this. And then we're just going to do a lazy eight. And this kind of frees up, yes, thank you. It frees up the body without being weird. We're not asking the student to do something difficult. Anyone can do it, even us, even teachers. So could you all stand up, please? Just relax your body. I mean, it's pretty cold today, so let's get the blood flowing. And just make sure you cross the midline and make it as big as you want, right? Come, you free up the body. And then can somebody tell me, like just an easy children's song or chant that everybody would know? 10 Little Indians. Let's just sing 10 Little Indians while we do this with our hand. And you can switch to your left hand as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Indians. Another hand. 9 little Indians, 10 little Indians, 4 little. Okay, again, now both hands simultaneously. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little. Oh, thank you, Vivian. Can you sing louder?
1, 2, 3, the same song.
1, 2, 3, little Indians. 4,
Go as big as you can. Free up the body. Let your inner child out. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Don't worry, I won't ask you to stand up and do stuff, silly stuff again. Okay, so just remember, this is a great one to help kids with getting in touch with, how to do gestures and body language. What is the purpose of today's workshop? Thank you, Shirley. And I'm in trouble because when I walked in, Vivian asked me that I prepared any prizes, chocolates or cookies. Cash! And I did not. Sorry, cash! Yes. So she promised that she will be the high five girl. As a prize, you'll get a high five from her. And the cash will be available later. But you have to pay 100 to qualify.
I will.
Thank you. Okay. The goal I'd like to achieve, my personal goal, is to help you as teachers to evaluate the student's speech through script development, delivery of the speech, and then most important, the thing that we're actually going to do most today is feedback and direction. How to give a student constructive criticism and how to direct them. You are basically playing the role as a director when you give them feedback. First, I'd like to share a speech with you. I think it's important when we prepare kids for speeches is that we have a point of reference. What makes a good competitive speech? Now, we all have seen TED speeches, right? Can I see a show of hands? Yes, and we love them. They are great, but they are different from a competitive speech. Have you, now I'm not talking about kids speeches, have you seen adults competing in competitive speaking? Anyone? No, good. So I hope you will find inspiration from this speech. Toastmasters International that I belong to, they have the World Championships of Public Speaking each year. And 2014, I participated. I made it through to the semi-finals and then I fell out. The winner that year was this guy. I was lucky enough to be in the audience and it was a great experience and I'd like to share that with you. He's Dhananjaya Etiarachi from Sri Lanka. And he was the first non-native speaker to win the World Championships and the first one outside of usually it's North Americans or Australians that win the title. So I'd like to, for your purpose, just sit back and relax. It's about 7 minutes long and just enjoy the speech first. We're not going to analyze it right away, we're going to do that later, but first I'd just like you to just enjoy the speech.
Dhananjaya Etiarachi, I see something. I see something. Dhananjaya Etiarachi.
You and I are not very different from this flower. Just like this flower is unique, you are unique. All of us have something special that makes us as beautiful. Do you know what makes you special? Now the answer to that can be a little difficult to find. Because sometimes life has a cruel way picking out your petals, breaking you in two, and throwing you into the trash. And when you're broken, it's very difficult to feel special. So go and share my fellow flowers. I can remember the first time I wrote. I was 17 years old. I had already flunked high school and managed to get myself arrested. Now, I wasn't afraid of the cops, but there was one person I was very afraid of, and that was my mom. Raise your hand if you have an emotional mother. Let me see. Put them all together, you get my mom. I can hear her scream outside the police station. Even the cops were afraid. She came up to me, held the iron bars, looked into my eyes, and I saw a tear coming down her face. Now, I've seen my mom cry before, but mothers cry 3 types of tears. Tears of joy, tears of sorrow, and tears of shame. And when a son sees a mother cry tears of shame, that's a life-changing moment. She looked at me and said, "Son, I want you to be a better man." That night, when I drove home, my dad was waiting for me at home. Now, my dad is a cool dad. Raise your hand if you have a cool dad. Put them all together, you get my dad. My dad came up to me and said, "Son, it's okay. You flunked your exams. You already got arrested. That's fine. You get that from your mother's side. I want you to start working immediately." And I said, "Okay." So my dad took me to meet one of his friends called Sam. Now, Sam was an accountant who had an accounting firm and had generously decided to make me his personal assistant. And there he was. He looked like a teddy bear. But this man was special. I looked at him, and he looked at me. And then he said the most amazing thing. He said, "Son, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. If you decide to work with me, I can help you find that something." And I was like, "Whoa, that's the first time in my whole life somebody has ever told me to see something in me." And I started working for Sam. And every day after work, he used to tell me stories about the world, about history, about culture, about philosophy. And it was much more interesting than what I learned in school. And I discovered I can dream. And I started dreaming, ladies and gentlemen. After 1 year, I went back into high school, completed my exams, and went into college. After successfully completing college, I found a great girl, but not a job. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Have you ever had that problem? And when you're lost, it's difficult to feel special. So I went back to my cool dad. And I said, "Dad, I feel lost." He said, "You are like your mother." So my dad introduced me to this strange club that had a strange name, with strange people talking. On the first meeting, they told me to do something called a table talk. I aced it. But while I was speaking, I see a strange man seated in the back row. Humble, simple, the unfailing quality of kindness in his eyes. As soon as I finished, he walked up to me, looked me dead straight in the eye, and said, "Son, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. If you come here twice a month, maybe we can find that something." And ladies and gentlemen, I discovered I could speak, and I love speaking. And that led me to become a teacher. I know what it's like to not have enough money in your bank account. I know what it's like to worry when the bills start coming in. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wake up my beautiful wife and I ask her, "Honey, why did you marry me?" She says, "I saw something in you. But I still don't know what it is." Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm a dreamer, I'm a speaker, and I learned the unfailing quality of unconditional love from my wife. I was broken, and I've been broken, lost, and broke many times in my life. But the people in my life were able to reach into the trash can and make me whole again. If it was up to me, I would have never been able to do that. And this is why if you have great people in your life, no matter how broke, how lost, or how broken you become, they can piece you back together. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at you, I see something in you. But I don't know what it is. Only.
Thank you. What do you think? It's pretty good, right?
Okay, so the message is pretty inspiring, right? It really touched me, and to have been in that audience, live audience, it was electrifying. It was really great. And can I see? I know most people don't like public speaking. Am I right? Yeah. Would you say that's something you like or don't like? Can I see a show of hands? Who loves public speaking? I thought so. Who hates public speaking? Right. Do you guys think public speaking is much different than being a teacher? In what way? The age of the audience? It's actually not that different. You're already public speakers. Your audience is just different, your venue is different, but as a teacher, you are already speaking publicly. You are not speaking to yourself in front of a mirror in your bathroom. So you have already overcome that fear. I think the fear for most people comes when they have to speak to a different audience. Can you remember your first day teaching? It was pretty petrifying. But then you got used to it, and now you don't even think about it twice. And the same with public speaking. That first speech, we call it the icebreaker. You're very nervous, and the nervousness never really go away. You just learn how to manage it. You get used to it. They say, you will always have butterflies. Later you will teach them how to fly in formation and control it. So, as we look at speeches, and later we will look at kids' speeches, but I purposefully wanted you to see adults in competitive speaking so you can have a point of reference. And you can Google them, they're on YouTube, World Champions of Public Speaking. There's a lot of them available that you can look and learn from. There are basically four main kinds of speeches: to inform, to persuade, to entertain, to inspire. And from that speech I've shown you, what do you think was the type of that speech? To inspire. Do you think there was anything else? Did he kind of mix it up a little bit? Definitely. Like there was an entertainment aspect, there was humor in it. Did he try to persuade us? Not really. That was not very, there was nothing of that. And you don't have to cover them all. It's actually more important that you narrow down to one, and I'll show you now how to do that. Once you have the speech for your student, because that's what we're working towards, as you all already know, by writing the speech, the writing teachers will tell you, it has to have an opening, a body, and a conclusion. Doesn't matter what kind of speech it is, whether you're telling a story or you're giving us facts, that should be apparent and clearly structured. A good speech starts with a good structure. Now, where you want to state the purpose of the type of speech is the opening and the conclusion. In the opening and conclusion, it must be very clear what type of speech it is. In the middle, you can mix it up. It doesn't have to be just one type of speech right through. The most important thing, just make it apparent in the opening and the conclusion. Okay, and then you all have a handout. This is the International Speech Contest's Judges Guide and Ballot that I would like you to have a look at. Jill, do you have one for me? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Can we have it for the beautiful assistant, Vivian? Please make some noise. And Jill, yeah, Jill. Jill is in charge of this session, so. We're just going to quickly glance over it. We're not going to go into detail. I want you to be aware. This is different from the judges' ballot that we use for the kids. This is just, I think, a supplementary guide that you can use when working with the kids, that you can help them more in depth. First, we look at in international speeches, the content counts the most. It's 50%. But that includes speech development, effectiveness, and speech value. And of course, as we know, the kids don't write their own speeches. It's very rare, right? We usually choose the speeches for them. Very rarely do we ask them to write. In my opinion, if we could get kids to come up with their own idea first, it would be awesome. If they can come up with an original idea or with an inspired idea or tell you what they want to talk about, and then you choose your speech for them. But at the moment, I think it's the other way around. We choose the speech and just give it to them and say, memorize it. This is your speech. So you can, know your student in the process. It's up to you. For these kind of speeches, for international speech contests, originality is a huge thing. You cannot just recite something that has been written before. It has to be an original speech. Then the middle part, that's the delivery. Physical, body language, voice, flexibility and volume, manner, directness, assurance, enthusiasm. Then the last bit is language. In this part, language plays a very small part, whereas it's the other way around in our speech contest, where language plays a much bigger part. The speech purpose, the audience reaction, correctness, grammar, pronunciation, word selection is actually a very small part. So it doesn't matter which one you use, whether you use this one or the one Washington uses. The core values stay the same. It's how the speech is perceived from the audience point of view and the judge's point of view. Have you ever seen kids' speeches? I mean, you thought, oh, I think this one should win, and they don't. Someone else wins. It happens, judges, believe it or not, they're just human. They have their own perspective. They should be impartial, and they usually are, but sometimes they look for something different than what we are looking for if we're just sitting in the audience. So as teachers, how do we prepare the kids? We have to take into consideration how the judges think and what they are looking for. Any questions so far? Anything you want me to go deeper into? And on the back is a more in-depth explanation that can help you as a speaking coach when you're coaching the kids, that you can use as guidelines and to refer to. We're not going to go into that much. That's just for your reference. Okay, then you have another handout which is the judges' criteria. I just wanted to show you the differences between like an adult speaking contest ballot and one for us, for the kids. And who have been judges in a speech contest? Can you raise your hand if you've been a judge? Okay. So here you can see language is it's a huge part. It starts with pronunciation. What does pronunciation really mean? It means clarity. Can we understand what they're saying? It's also accent and it's intonation and all that, but it mostly comes down to being clear. I've seen speeches from kids who have an amazing accent, they have amazing intonation, but they either speak too fast or they mumble. At some points they swallow their words. So in the end it comes down to clarity. Clarity of the message communication. Fluency, of course, that comes from practice. How fluent they are. They don't stop and hesitate and think about what to say. Hopefully they have been rehearsed to a point where it just comes from muscle memory. And yeah, content is very small, right? So that's why it doesn't really matter whether the kids write them or not. I personally think it's a great way for kids to be more involved in their speeches, but it's not really that necessary. It's totally fine the way we do it. Just, prepare an article or a story for them. Maybe just help them to write an introduction and a conclusion. And then usually we use, whatever story we use as the body. This is the big one. This is the one I think we all have problems with, getting kids to really express themselves creatively. Facial expressions and vocal variety. We'll go into more depth later after we watched a few more speeches. And then star quality. Can somebody please tell me what is meant by star quality? Because it's such a broad term. Does anyone have an idea of what star quality actually means?
Shine on the stage.
Shine on the stage, thank you. Like I would say Viv has star quality.
I do?
Whenever she walks past me in the hallway, I just feel I'm shining already just from her reflection. Yeah, we're looking for something extra, right? We're looking for a spark. We cannot really define it. You know it when you see it. You know it when you don't see it. It's just something extra. Because a lot of the speeches are actually the same. A lot of the kids are the same. And the quality is pretty high. All of them are at a very high level of performance. But which one stands out a little more? That's what we're looking for. A standout factor. Okay. As a speech coach, there's the judges' ballot. That's the things we can see, but sometimes we have to read between the lines. We have to look at the subtext. First, it's the interpretation. A lot of speeches that I see, the kids just recite the speech. They don't really, sometimes it feels they don't understand what they're saying. They have rehearsed well, they have their pronunciation, but do they really know what they're saying? So please talk to them, have a conversation with them about the value of their speech. What does it mean to them? What does it mean to you, and what it potentially could mean to an audience? A speech is not just something to be memorized and delivered. It's something that really needs to be understood at the core level. And if you work from that core level of understanding, a lot of the other things will just fall into place. So take time to have a conversation with them to see if they really understand what they're speaking about. Of course, the body language, that's the big one, right? A lot of us see kids as, oh, they're shy. But I want to share a story I heard from Electra. I'm going to show you the video now of the winner of the Washington Cup from last year, which Electra has trained. Yay, another star. And she told me this kid was so shy, he didn't want to do it, he couldn't move. And just through constant repetition and practice, he turned out to be the eventual winner. And you'll see his body language is pretty amazing. Something that is very dear to my heart are pauses, the third one. Over there. A dramatic pause, not a awkward pause. I think a lot can be said for having a dramatic pause. A lot of speeches sounds like kids are trying to catch a train. It just runs on and on. And there's the misconception that the faster they speak, the more fluent they are, which is not the case. So help them to slow down, help them to find the natural pauses in their speech, and help them not to be afraid of those pauses. It has meaning. We'll go over this later after we watch the speeches. Eye contact. A lot of kids, as you all know, look at the floor, they look at the ceiling, they look at the sides, they look at the back of the wall, but they never really look directly into the audience, which is just a sign of nervousness. It's like we want to avoid eye contact, because if I'm going to make eye contact with you, I have to connect with you, and that's a scary thought. And it's impossible to make eye contact with everyone in the audience. So in Toastmasters, we are taught, you look at the friendly faces. You try to pick out the friendly faces in the audience. Don't look at the grumpy faces. The ones who like have to get up early and feels cold and like that. You just have to smile, Shirley. So that's just a way to teach kids to make better eye contact. Tell them to look for the friendly faces. And you just have to look at somebody once, and that connection is made, and then you can move over to someone else. Repetition. So a question for you, from the speech that we watched, I see something in you. Did you notice any repetition in that speech? Yeah, very effective. You kind of find a phrase. It's either the title, or it's the value of your speech, or it could be a slogan type, a one-liner that you can keep repeating for a powerful effect of getting your message home. Vocal variety. Let your kids practice in different voices. Let them use a robot voice, high-pitched voices, low voices, any type of voice. That's how you get vocal variety. They won't have to use it in the speech, but as part of the rehearsal process of freeing the voice. Don't let them just speak in their regular voice. That is just like staying inside the box. If you're practicing outside the box, you use fun voices, which brings us to action and reaction. A lot of speech deliveries is, it's the action, right? I did this, and I did that. Oh. But there's also reaction. And kids who are natural storytellers, if you can help them in rehearsal to find the reaction to their actions, it adds an extra dimension. So a lot of us choose storytelling for our kids to speak about. So they're acting it out, they're role-playing, but more often than not, they are just playing the character's actions. So the reaction comes in the subtext. We have to add it. It's a gesture, it's a body language, it's a facial expression that we add in. It's not written in the speech, it's something we add to it to make it more meaningful. And don't be afraid to take risks with that, adding more stuff to the speech. Okay, so I'm gonna, any questions so far? No? You're all just waiting for 12 o'clock to go to lunch? Okay, so I'm gonna show you two more speeches. As some of you might not know this, I'm not sure if all the teachers know the rules of the Washington Cup. For this Washington Cup that's coming up now in May, there's the first grade and second graders are one division. The other one is third and fourth grade. Fifth and sixth grade are not doing speeches, they are doing readers' theater, which is tomorrow's workshop. It's not in lunchtime, don't worry. So, when you watch these speeches that I'm going to play you, I would like you to consider these three aspects. What type of speech is it from the four that I've mentioned? Can you remember the four? To inform, to entertain, to inspire, and to persuade. Right? Thank you. Someone's paying attention. I'll have to pay you money, Vivi. Seems like it. And thank you. And what is the value of the speech? The value of the speech is how you would sum that speech up in one sentence. And also when you talk about your kid, about their interpretation of their speech, ask them to read the speech and then tell you in one sentence what the speech is about. If you can narrow the value of your speech down to one sentence, it's very useful for you as the teacher who's teaching them or coaching them, that whenever you make a decision or have to cut something or change something, always refer to the value of the speech. You make your decisions according to the value of your speech. And then evaluate the speech. Just very shortly, look at what are the strengths and the weaknesses of the speaker and what can they do to improve. Now, even though these are the winners that I'm going to show you, they are not perfect speeches. There are definitely some things they can do to improve. That can be helpful. If we can catch those things and point them out, that will be great. So, and after watching the speeches, I would like you guys to maybe have small group discussions and then we have a debrief session and you can give us your ideas of how you evaluated the speeches. Okay. So we'll start with the winner of the first and second grade division.
Her mom was embarrassing her all over the place. Her mom replied, "You're just too sensitive. You should not let it."
Sorry, I just want to add, you can please give them an evaluation on the sheet you have. You have this Washington Cup speech contest. Just look at the criteria and then just make notes. I would really like to hear your ideas at the end and to see how you graded them as a judge. You are a judge now. So I want you to look at it from a judge's point of view. Thank you.
Tiny things bother you so much. Let's listen to Emily's embarrassing story. Now let's welcome Chen Xiaoqi, Emily.
Sorry, wrong one. She was sick.
最珍贵的东西是什么？我们一起来听听看它吧。Let's welcome 周诗琪 Bernie。
Good afternoon, dear judges and fellow students. My name is Bernie. My story is a wasteful king. Once, there was a wasteful king. His clothing was made of the best material. His food was cooked by 100 cooks. His castle was already huge, but also every room had many kinds of valuable things. It took a lot of money to provide the king with his luxurious life. But he didn't care. He kept on ordering servants to find all kinds of good things for him. When people had to save their money for buying more treasure for the king, they worked so hard but no money left in them. One day, a master tailor with a came to see the king. He declared that this ring was colorful and in his eye was one of a kind. The king ordered the tailor to show King Fun. Wow! This is the most beautiful cake that I've ever seen before, the king said. The more the king looked, the more Then the tailor spoke. My great majesty, you really have a good eye. But this game won't cost you a penny if you answer one question. What is it? He asked curiously. The tailor said, your wife gives you a hug, and your kids will laugh every day. Do you pay them? Do they ask money? The king was silent. Suddenly, he realized that the most precious thing cannot be bought with money is love. Finally, the king not only returned the pig to the tailor, but also changed his style. So he no longer asked for money from his people. Eventually, the bad king gained a little love from his own people. I hope you like that story and wish you have a good day. Thank you very much.
好好珍惜它吧。
Turn on the lights. Thank you. Okay. Can I ask for a volunteer? Maybe it's difficult to get into groups, so we can just give individual feedback. Anyone would like to start, or shall I point someone out? Any volunteer would just like to share your impression of this speech? Well, okay, let me start. I looked at all the speeches before I knew who the winner was, and I did not pick him as the winner. He's a perfectly good speaker, but he did not really, in my eyes, stood out. Others who I thought would have done better did not place at all. So it shows you the subjective side of how you judge. I thought his gestures were really great. His body language, he was confident. He delivered well. Sometimes I don't know whether it's because of the audio or the way he speaks. I couldn't always understand what he was saying. Obviously, the judges did. So, also, if you looked at his eye contact, although he had a lot of, he was role-playing, so he cannot always look at the audience, but he was often not making eye contact with the audience. So for me, that's a weakness. That's something I would work on and try to rectify. But I think his strengths are definitely his confidence, his delivery, his fluency. The times I could understand what he was saying, he had a strong, clear voice. I think he's a worthy winner. In hindsight, I think he's a worthy winner. What is your idea, Daniel? I can see you bursting with ideas.
Well, yeah, I couldn't hear a thing. I heard Your Majesty once, and that's it. But I don't know if that's just bad audio or...
I'm thinking that's the case. I'm thinking that's the case.
But then that's not fair to the contestant, because they work so hard, and when they get there, it's bad sound. So that is something that has to be addressed.
Sure. I think it's something that can definitely be addressed. Who's in charge of the speech contest? Take note. I'll make a note and I'll say that to them. Thank you, Daniel. Did anyone see something else that I did not mention? Okay, I'm gonna pick out the faces I know. Ashley. Just give me, what did you think of the speech, your opinion?
Okay, the Darwin is quite well.
Keep talking.
Okay, but for me, I don't know if it's really necessary to have so many gestures. For me, it's more like drama.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe we just need to focus on some important gestures and facial expression. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I understand that point completely, but coming from a drama background, for me, getting the kids to do more body language and gestures is always a good thing. However, I do agree, too much of a good thing is not good. And your job as a public speaker more than having gestures and body language, is to create a mental image for the audience. So you just have to initiate the movement. The audience, in a good speech, the audience fills out the rest. If you think back on Dhanajaya's speech, his gestures were not really all over the place. It was very meticulous and particular, and the rest we formed in our heads. The way his mother spoke to him in jail, that was a very clear picture. The way he was sitting in the people sitting at the back of the room watching him, then coming up to talk to him. It was minimal gestures, but it was well worked out. So I agree, I love it. I love when kids who are usually shy suddenly start going all over the place. I do like that, there's value in that. But in the end, we don't want the gestures to distract from the speech and the message. I would like to have more Viv. That's right, sorry, I get easily confused. Can you share your ideas, your opinion?
My opinion is like, I think he's good, but he doesn't have that star quality.
Right.
That's it.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I agree. I want to quickly show you the other one, the one that I thought would have won, did not place at all, and then see what you think of that.
Eagles real life. Let's listen to Leon. 你想要知道马平真正的生活吗？我们来听听看周庆怡 Leon. Let's welcome Leon.
Hello everyone, my name is Leon. Today I'll tell you a story about eagles. What kind of birds do you like the most? I like eagles. I think eagles are very cool and they look like a king in the sky when they soar. Do you know how long you see? They can live to be 7 years old. Isn't it amazing? But to live for 7 years old, they have to face a very serious difficulty. The eagles have 2 choices. Either they run at night or they go through a very difficult process of change. Do you know what they must do? It's really crazy! The eagles that want to survive will fly up to the top of a mountain, knock their wings until it breaks off. Then they'll wait till a new fish grows. When a new fish grows, they'll cut off their talons and send new wings, and wait for the new talons to grow. When the new talons grows, they will scratch and cut off their heavy feathers, and wait for the new feathers to grow. It's like knocking out your teeth, pulling out your fingernails, and ripping out your hair. How would you like to do that? Well, the mental process is over. The eagles are reborn. They can go and play, dig up food to eat, and soar in the sky again. Even though it is a tough decision to make, the eagles that are ready to go through the mental change are the ones that can survive and live a long and amazing life. Which one is to make? Pie or change? If only it was obvious, most people have no.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. We're almost done. This was my pick. I thought this was so different from the other kids. He had the star quality. In my opinion, the only thing that I thought was distracting was that he walked up and down endlessly. So if you go back, go watch Dhanajaya's speech again, he also moved. You don't move like this kid. It's like pacing. It's just like, up and down. But when you move, stop. Move again. Stop. If he maybe just incorporated that one little change, he would have placed, I'm very sure. So yeah, I was very surprised. But anyway, judging sometimes is not fair. We would like to believe and think it is fair. Who knows? I'm not judging the judges, if you know what I mean. Okay, Does anybody have something to say about this? Yes, please.
I think the weakness probably is pronunciation. It sometimes gets a little distracting because we try to figure out what he's saying.
Right.
But otherwise, he's really good.
Sure. So yeah, it brings us back to pronunciation, which is, it has the highest value in the percentage of the judges' ballot. It's about clarity. It's like I think that was a very good point. If you're trying to figure out what the speaker is saying, then the audience loses interest, the judges lose interest. You start thinking of other things. So yes, we have a lot of work ahead of us. Guys, we're at the end of the workshop. Thank you for your participation. Before we go, I'd like to leave you with the conclusion. Every speech is about learning. Although we want them to win, if we do competitive speaking, winning is the main objective, the main goal. But as somebody who has done competitive speaking myself, I've lost, I've won. It feels good to win, it sucks to lose. But I've learned that winning cannot be your only objective when you do competitive speaking. So find a second and a third goal for you and your student, so that even if he or she doesn't win, that they can still have something that they can achieve through the goal. Even though it's just, using more body language, stepping out of your shell, memorizing the whole speech, not using notes. Little things that is easily obtainable and that gives them a sense of accomplishment. All right, thank you guys. Time for lunch.
Thank you, teachers. Thank you for joining us today. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. The workshop of the Reader Theater starts from 9 to 10:30 tomorrow. Okay? Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
What happened to the jacket?
I know your face, but I cannot remember. Yes. Which is entertainment. Falls under entertainment, yes. That's fine. I would, when we do the storytelling, we just use the story as the body, but we write the introduction and conclusion for them, connected to the...
You can ask him.
Yes, I saw his speech, it was really good. Yes.
But last year he also entered
I saw his video. I would have placed him in the top 10.
So for...
Sorry. 明天还有啊。明天还有一场啊。
But he's also in my drama class, so I know.
一样的吗？明天是阿飞的。哦，了解。主要是要实习。
His pronunciation is good, but the thing is he slowed down. For him, find the cause of he speaks very fast. He speaks fluently. But he speaks too fast for a speech context, so he can slow down and take dramatic pauses. That's number one. No, his pronunciation is good. It's just about slowing down. Making sure.
He does have a little bit of accent, like a Taiwanese accent.
Right.
But that we can fix, but probably he really doesn't have the confidence, right? He just wants to speak fluently.
Yeah, and by that he thinks he should speak faster, which is not the case in the speech. It's very hard to get motivated. Once he gets in the mood, it's fine. But sometimes to get him to participate is very hard. But he loves it. But the thing is, I think it's also because he's one of there's only 3 boys in the rest of the group. So it's a matter of also, I don't want to play with the girls. But once he's in, he doesn't care about that. But in fact, at the beginning, to just get him to jump in, there's usually a bit of coaxing involved. And I say to him, just play. You don't need to do anything. Just play and have fun. And then once he gets that concept, then he's totally fine.
So